G'day traders, hope you're all doing fantastic and having a wonderful weekend. Devet here from DW Trader, here with the weekly outlook and setups. So let's roll that intro and let's get right into it. First of all, looking at pound dollar, and we'll be looking at the most recent price action. So I'm basically just going to look at 4 hour and look what is early week predictions and what can we potentially expect for the week ahead. A few things that we need to take note of, and then what we need to apply to our trading. First of all, like last week, we can clearly see that we are moving in a downtrend, and we can see we're making lower lows and lower highs. So that's very important, and we need to realize and identify that we are still in a downtrend, but we could potentially be reversing soon. So if we just quickly have a look at the daily, you will see that we're reaching into something on the left, and obviously for me, I can't identify. I don't know what this is. I don't know what we're reacting off of. There's wicks, there's bodies, there's all kinds of messiness, there's gaps. It's really kind of just a messy price action. If we jump to the 4 hour and we then look to the left, even then it's not super clear. We have this potential order block over there. Let's take the wick as well. And I do think that we did tap into it. Yes, we did tap into it. So potentially on the 4 hour, this could be the reason for the reversal or price action starting to shift towards the upside. So let's just quickly run through it. We'll be looking at the last leg towards the downside that broke structure. That's the most important thing for us to identify now. We can see that we broke structure towards the downside over there. If you're not sure what structure is, this is the last lower low, and we broke that lower low, creating a new lower low. So now that's the lowest low of this price action. It's very easy to identify. That's a low, and it's lower than the previous low. Now we're potentially expecting price to make some sort of pullback into the range. What is the range now? Well, the range is the area that broke structure. So that is our range from this high all the way to this low. That is our current range that we're trading within. So now we need to identify some of the liquidity areas within that range, and we can identify that we have an order block over there. We can see that we have previous highs over there as well, and we have some imbalance there as well, which we will refine to on the lower time frames in just a bit. So right off the bat, my initial idea for price action next week is to slowly make its way up into this area, to fill this imbalance, to tap this range. See, there's a range and the liquidity in this order block, and then potentially see a reaction again. So that's from the 4 hour, the more or less the idea that we have. On the 1 hour, what can we expect? So we had this area of accumulation. We pushed towards the downside, created this wick, started pushing up, we broke structure, we already pulled back, mitigated something on the left, and then started pushing up again, almost barely, maybe broke structure with a body close above structure. We already grabbed the liquidity above these highs as well, so we could potentially see price making a pullback and then a continuation up further towards the upside. So now that we've dissected this part of price action, let's now have a look and just refine some of the things over here. We can refine the imbalance towards that area, that candle. Let me just get this straight. That candle and that candle. There is our imbalance, and we can refine the order block potentially to that candle. It's not a full body order block, but I'll get into that in just a bit. We have liquidity above these highs that we've marked out, this one as well, and we can see that the liquidity has been taken above it, but we can still just keep it there. So the general idea for me would be to foresee price run the liquidity on all of this trend lines. So this is trend lines. So the trend line traders will do something like this or this, and then they would see that price is broken out, and then they will also fall in on the trade and look for the pullback and then a continuation up. So in this case, we could potentially ride along with them, and we can see that depending on how you plot your trend line, we still have all the liquidity above this line to grab and make use of. So in short, I do think we are in for a bit of a bullish run early on in the week. But if we are not, if we are still moving bearish, so then we need to identify a few things. So we see this is our previous high that we have taken out and we closed below it. So that's also a sign that we could be moving bearish. So we did take the liquidity above this high. Now looking on the 15-minute time frame, we need to see a continuation towards the downside. We need to see some conviction. So we need to see price breaking below structure. We need to see price creating new structure. So break below, create a new lower high, and then break below again, creating lower low, creating new lower high, and so on. So we need to see this type of behavior of the market for us to identify that price is going bearish still. And then it's obvious we just climb in on the trend and we try to capitalize on these order blocks where price returns to, and that is then how we will continue with shorts if price is willing to go short, because there's obviously liquidity below all of these lows as well, just as we just mentioned of the upside. The same is true for the downside. So we have the liquidity above these areas as well. So we need to be aware that we could go both ways, and we need to anticipate and be prepared for both ways. So we know what we want to see towards the upside, and we know what we want to see for price going towards the downside. So I'll potentially be looking for price to create some new structure, break some structure, make a pullback to creating new high low, and then take the trade and then trade it towards the upside. So that is in short, I want to see this area being reached, and then from this area on potentially something else more move towards the downside, or even price could be reaching for these highs as well. So if price does decide to really start to rally towards the upside, we could see price reaching for these areas as well. So take note of that and make sure you're not missing those opportunities. Okay, let's have a look at the next pair, which is euro dollar. Okay, so on EU, this is the 4-hour time frame, and we can potentially see the price is starting to move towards the upsides. Well, it's rather obvious to see by looking at that move on the 4-hour. So let's start just a little dissecting of what happened on Friday and what can we learn from that. So it's very, very simple. This was our last structure break. Then this was our last range created that broke the structure. Okay. Then price pulled back into this imbalance. Price started to push down and was actually supposed then to break structure again if we were to continue bearish, but no, it didn't. It failed to break structure. Instead, it broke towards the upside. So this is a clear indication that you can use that the order flow has shifted towards the upside, and we could potentially be looking at longs now. So we can remove that, and we can see that price broke some major structure on the left. We have over there, and obviously this one over there, but I'm just going to include this one. We broke structure. Now this is the new leg towards the upside, and we could potentially expect price to make a pullback inside this range and look for the longs towards the upside. So EU does feel a bit more clear compared to GU. You can see GU is a lot more messy, but so EU does feel a bit better structure wise. So I do think EU might be the better option early on next week. But so that is the range that we're looking at. So we can potentially look for some liquidity areas in this region. So that's what I'll be looking for price to make a pullback and then take the long from a bit lower. We could also take note that this is a reaction area where we could potentially expect price to reach. So if you get in on a very nice trade in the downside, whatever it may be, this is a good area for take profits. But then we also have a lot of areas above it. We have all of this imbalance. So this imbalance over there, that's also would be a magnet for price to return to. So I definitely do think that price could be making a pullback and then a continuation up into this region. We can extend that up into this region. So I'm not exactly sure where, what, when, how, but that's a general idea that I have for EU, for price to make a move back towards the upside. If we just have a look at the 1 hour, we can just quickly clean some of this up. So that was the 4 hour time frame. On the 1 hour, we can see this is a very nice full body candle. So I'll definitely be using that candle, and we beautifully broke structure towards the downside with this move down. So I do think we have a high chance of price returning towards this area. Looking at price action currently, there's nothing on the 1 hour that really suggests an inefficiency or an imbalance in price, so it would be a bit tricky. We potentially wait for price to reach down this area, and then as price reaches this area, we would want to see some form of confirmation, some of pattern that we trade for price to then move towards the upside. So not yet sure where, but I am expecting and looking for price to make the pullback early on in the week and then trade back towards the upside. So that being said, we could potentially be looking for shorts on Monday to take the trade towards the downside, and then Tuesday, Wednesday look for longs back towards the upside. If we're talking about shorts, what is the situation here? We ended rather bearish with this big push towards the downside, but we're still in an uptrend, so we haven't broken any structure yet. So this is still the last higher low. We need to break this low and then start to create some liquidity back towards an order block, and then take the short towards the downside. So there's still some things that need to happen. On the 15-minute, we need to see this break, a 15-minute break in structure, in order for us to really believe the price could be making that pullback. Otherwise, price will just be moving back up towards the upside, and we won't get that retracement. If it doesn't make that retracement, we'll just look for longs. If we start breaking above this high, then we'll start looking for the longs towards the upside again. So that is then in short the general idea that we have for euro dollar, and potentially looking for price to make that move towards the downside early on in the week, and then further on back towards the upside. So that's what I'm playing with and the idea that I have for euro dollar. So let's have a look at Aussie dollar. All right, Aussie dollar on the 4 hour, daily, we're pushing towards the downside. We're currently at this lows, reaching for these lows, and I'm not going to look too far back because I don't think it's too much relevant. So we're on our way towards these lows. Obviously, I do think we'll reach these lows and we'll probably sweep them, and I'm looking for a reaction around these lows. So this is what I'm looking for. That's what I'm expecting. That's my expectation. I could be wrong, but that's currently the idea that I have. So there's nothing to trade now. We need to see first what price does with this level. Do we move below it and then continue lower, or do we move up and we can reach some of these areas of liquidity? So just looking towards the upside, this is a good area to identify, because we also have really clear imbalance just below it. We have some areas above it, some liquidity above these highs. So there's a lot of reason for price to go up, but we have greater higher time frame reason for price to go down and sweep the lows below these lows. So I do think that it's highly probable that price could be first sweeping down and then moving back towards the upside. But again, as of always, we need to see that confirmation at confluences. So if we see price breaking down, we need to see price creating that new structure, creating that new liquidity and order flow, and then make the move towards the upside. So we'll only be looking to enter the trade after the second or third structural move towards the upside. That is then in short the view for Aussie dollar. So let's have a quick look at pound yen. So okay, this is pound yen on the 4H. So a few things to note. We're rather bearish down in the dumps. So this is an area of accumulation, and then price started pushing down. So I would like to see price coming back up to see that V formation created. So on the 4 hour, areas that I could potentially anticipate price reaching back into, that candle, that small range over there is a good area. Also have the imbalance in there as well. But just having a look at the daily, where is price reaching into? So we currently have this order block, but we reached below it, so we swept it. What else is there in this area? So we have these three candles, and we tapped it as well. So do you think price is ready to make a move towards the upside? So if you look at the 1 hour, at the 4H, there's not much to go off of. So we kind of need to see on the lower time frame price shifting towards the upside. So on the 1 hour, where is our 1 hour areas? Well, we have liquidity. There's a 1 hour order block, because we broke some structure on the left. So first of all, this would be my idea for price to make a short pullback and then continue up higher. So that's more or less the aggressive view. But on the 15-minute, even the 15-minute does look rather messy. If we were to continue shorts, this is the first area that I would expect price to react off of if we are still a short bias. So if you're more short biased, look at this area and look for confirmation entry in this area to take a short off from. But overall, it is a bit more messy and not as clear. We're really down under and we're deep into discount, so we kind of need to see price first giving us the confirmation we are moving back towards the upside. Yes, so that's currently what I have to say about GU. So that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you stayed to the end. And yes, as always, happy trading. Enjoy it. Risk management is very important. Apply that to your trading, please. And let's aim to hit the year on a good note. This is the first week of December. We'll be on Wednesday, I think. Yes, guys, have a great one. Cheers.